Are leaders born or made? What's
Well,
your opinion?
So my opinion is that some of the traits, they are genetic, you're born with them. And some of them you can come through very much through the education that your parents and your family give you, the underlying values that your family give you. And some of it you can learn. But I don't think I don't think it can all be learned. I think there has to be a certain natural tendency towards that. And quite importantly, you don't always enjoy being a leader, but you have to be able to enjoy it from time to time. You can see some people are absolutely tortured by management responsibility. And if you're tortured by management responsibility every day, you're not going to be a good leader. Firstly, you're going to panic all the people around you.
Yes.
And secondly, you're not going to project that image of calm confidence that people need to see in their chief.
Right. So what genetic qualities in particular make up leadership, the genetic side of things?
I don't think I can really be very intelligent on that question. I'm sure you've read it up and you can tell me.
No, I haven't read it up because, it's a dilemma.
Yeah, and a lot of people...
Have you ever thought about it?
Yeah, but I always come back to the fact, very much the education that my parents gave me, and actually the circumstances of my family, because I was the first person in my family to ever go into business. There were academics, there were journalists, there were civil servants, but I was the first person that ever went into business. So I took with me to business a set of values that were adapted for other worlds, from my education.
Yeah.
But actually I found they were generally, particularly in Schlumberger, they were very useful.
Would you say it's that civil service background, the values? No, it was
the journalist.
It's the journalist, okay.
I tell you a story. My grandfather was the editor of a paper in India called The Pioneer. And he was thrown out of India in the 1930s by the British because he looked at the situation in India, the idea that India should have self-governing and rule, and he adopted the cause of Gandhi and Nehru and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And he said, he used to joke, I only did it to get the circulation of the paper up because we were going bust. But he did really believe in it,
Yes.
And so he had very strong principles. And my father was someone who was a civil servant. He absolutely saw no difference between any person from anywhere in the world. He treated everybody exactly the same. Right. And that was in Schlumberger, that was very powerful, because in Schlumberger you have all these nationalities, and it's not easy to adapt to a collection of different cultures when you're all working together. And some people who think they come from a dominant culture or a culture that's ahead of the others don't know how to interface, or they can't interface correctly with someone who's from a completely different culture. And my father gave me that in spades. He used to tell a story, this is not totally relevant, but when I was 3, we flew to Africa to live in Kenya. And in those days, it took 2 days to fly, and you stopped overnight in Libya, and then you stopped overnight in Khartoum in the Sudan. And I was 3, and he said, as you walked down the steps of the plane, you saw this guy who was obviously a huge black Sudanese. And you didn't say he's black, you said, that gentleman's not wearing any shoes.
Right.
And he took that as an example that kids have no natural color prejudice,
Yes.
And I think that certainly for me, Schlumberger was a dream, in as much as, I really loved the totally multicultural aspect of the company.
Right.
But it does take adaptation, and a lot of people in Schlumberger fail because they don't make that adaptation.
Yeah. So you were also in charge of, while you were in Schlumberger, for selecting leaders that were coming through the ranks.
Yes.
So what were the criteria? What did you decide was definitely a no-go, and what was a potential?
Well, firstly, I didn't decide, because Schlumberger is, with GE and a couple of other companies, is unique in the fact that succession planning starts at the very lowest level. And succession planning is not a responsibility of the HR department, it's a responsibility of the line manager. So, the HR manager will fill in the potential form, but the manager is responsible for it, and he would often have to defend it in front of his boss. So
Yes.
you naturally get a flow of people coming through. And it goes all the way to the top, and every year in October I would present to the board of directors who I think should replace me if I got run over by a bus the next morning, and 3 names of people who were at various stages of readiness, and you would rate their potential, the number of years before they were ready, and then you would describe to the board what you felt they needed as complementary development to get there. And then you would make sure the board met them.
Right.
So, and by the way, this is something that really shocked me in the UK, is succession planning is virtually non-existent.
Yeah.
Everybody relies on headhunters, But there's nothing more powerful than a succession planning which comes up from the bottom. People who've been monitored for years and years, as I was, to judge their state of readiness to lead the company.
Was that a Schlumberger specific thing? It was something that was already there in place before?
It came from the founders.
Right.
It came from the 2 Schlumberger brothers who, Schlumberger has 3 principles. The first one is people, the quality of people. The second one is technology. And the third one is profit. And the idea of succession planning started really early, in the company's life.
Right.
And the brothers, who were French Protestants and therefore of a minority, took a huge interest in their workforce, personal interest in their workforce.
Right.
So it wasn't me in any way, it came through the company naturally.